Ruby,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm doing very good.
What a way to start a Sunday morning.
Yeah,
Huh?
why not?
Blonde and palms and blah, blah, blah. What's your name for everybody?
My real name is Natalia, although I changed it about 12 years ago because Natalia didn't sound like an artist name. So I chose Ruby because my hair was red at the time, and now my name is Ruby, Ruby King.
Which we love. Your occupation?
At the moment now, I work in private equity, so I work in finance, although that hasn't been my calling, or at least it wasn't my calling in the very beginning. I was in the music industry for about 15 years.
It literally couldn't be any different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tell us about the music.
Music has been a very big part of my life. It was something that that I gravitated towards when I was very young. I grew up in a very religious family where music was not allowed, or at least worldly music wasn't allowed. We were allowed to listen to Christian music. So any chance I could get, I would try and break out from that. And music was an amazing way to kind of be connected to the outside world. So music has been my biggest shield and my biggest kind of weapon since I was very young.
Do you miss it?
I miss the hype of it all. I miss the uncertainty of it all. There's something beautiful about being a little scared and not knowing what lies ahead. I think there's something really good about that. But I think it had its time and it was very beautiful. But I think, like all beautiful things, they need to have an ending at some point. So I quit while I was winning, so to speak.
And you did the X Factor.
Yeah, I did the X
Which
Factor.
is bonkers.
Yeah.
Fun?
Fucking bonkers. Incredibly fun, incredibly educational. I think I learned a lot about people and about the music industry and how tricky it can be for young artists who just want to be successful in what they do. I think the X Factor in particular is a very big machine, and if you don't have enough strength to kind of push back, I think it can be very dangerous. And but then again, it was very educational, and luckily we had a really good time. So
I think you were in the right time frame. I think it's way tougher now.
I think it's definitely tougher now. I think we were right on the cusp of when artists still had a bit of say in what they wanted to do. I think now it's very difficult to be authentic as an artist. I don't think there's very much of that these days.
Sad times.
Sad times. I know. Sad time for art. There's no more art.
Richard Osman is the guy I was talking about earlier. I'm trying to remember. He did a piece a few weeks ago on the stats of bands in the charts.
Okay.
And I was declined.
Oh.
It's worth watching. It's nuts.
Okay.
What 3 words describe you best?
Ooh. I think if you asked my husband, I think it would be a different answer. I think brave. I think. Let's see what I think brave is definitely number 1. I think loyal and funny.
Destructive. The thing you smashed last week. No, we won't go into.
We're not going to get into that.
What or who inspires you?
Oh my gosh, I mean, so many people have inspired me. I think it depends on what situation I'm in. So if I need to do a good show or present myself, I always think of other artists that I love that that just put on this amazing, armor of confidence. And I actually pretend to be those people. And even in my work right now, I work in finance, but sometimes I will think of Tina Turner, or I'll think of Celine Dion, and what would they do? How would they present themselves? And that helps me a lot. So I get influenced by many people.
I'm going to start doing the same, but it won't be Celine Dion. It'll be like Axl Rose and.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
Where were you 10 years ago?
Where was I 10 years ago?
Physically, mentally?
Two completely different places. So I was in London 10 years ago, and I was, in the middle of shooting my second music video with Blonde Electra. I was out of my mind in every way, shape, and form. I was so scared about what I was going to do with my life, how I was going to, make the next album. There was a lot going on. But on top of that, there were amazing parties. There were amazing people that I met. And London is a really great melting pot where you can meet the most amazing directors, the most amazing artists, the most amazing photographers, and you can find yourself in the most random places. So 10 years ago, I was living a very colorful life, let's say.
I think that's a separate 6-hour
That's
Q&A.
That's a whole other one.
Where would you like to be in 10 years' time?
I don't think there's a place in particular, but I'd like to be less stressed. I'd like to be more happy and, there's a beauty with fear and the uncertainty. So I don't know if I want to be too comfortable, but I think kind of on a similar path that I am on now. So just, morphing into the real version of me, being more me.
Hopefully in Dubai.
Yeah.
For us, I mean. What's your greatest love?
My greatest love, my family, for sure. As much as we drive each other crazy, my greatest love is my family.
How many sisters?
We've got a million sisters. So my dad was married twice before. So if you count all the sisters, I've got, oh gosh, I don't have to count. I've got 4 sisters from my mother, and then I've got another sister from my dad's second marriage, and then 2 other sisters from the first marriage. So that's 5, 6, 7.
It's a lot of sisters.
A lot of sisters.
Your greatest fear?
My greatest
sisters.
Fear? Greatest fear is sisters. No, okay, this is going to be really embarrassing, but I'm actually really scared of the dark. I'm really scared of the dark. And when Damien's away, my husband, I leave the lights on at night. So it's like my greatest fear.
Yikes.
Unfortunately, yeah.
What were you like as a kid?
I was a bit of a Karen, actually. So they used to call me Cop Tash. Tash is short for Natalia. And I used to go around the house with a little notebook and making sure people were doing their chores.
No way.
I would, yeah.
Maybe.
I was a cop. They literally called me Cop Tash. In my teenage years, I was an absolute reprobate. My parents were very religious, so I made it my goal to just fuck that up for them. And I'll never forget this. There was a meeting with my dad was having a Christian meeting in the kitchen with a bunch of supporters that came over, and I just rocked up in my underwear and just didn't give a shit, just to show my dad, show my parents. I just didn't give a fuck, and embarrassed him very, very much. And I felt really great doing that. So I was rebellious. I was a very rebellious teenager.
Has that changed?
I think deep inside, I'm still quite rebellious. I don't like following orders or being told what to do. There's always that inner dialogue that's like, nope. So there's still a little bit of a rebellious streak, for sure.
Who would play you in a movie?
Oh my God. Who would play me in a movie? Goodness. I mean, there's so many good ones. I think I would like, she's no longer with us, but well, no. Okay, actually, I changed my mind. I would like Dakota Fanning to play me in a movie.
Good choice.
Who
is the person that's not with us anymore?
I was gonna say, I don't know why I was gonna say Grace Kelly, but then I'm not really Grace Kelly, so I don't think
she was far more well behaved.
She's
for sure.
Far more well behaved. Yeah.
If you could vacation with any person alive or dead, who would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. I think I'd like to vacation with Marilyn Monroe. I think I'd like
Can
to
I
see.
come?
You could. Yes, you can come. I think she'd be really interesting to talk to, and I think she needed a vacation. I think she would have done.
Yeah, I think she needed a couple.
A little getaway.
What's your favorite destination?
I loved the Bahamas. Absolutely loved it. Although I was with a really shitty guy, the Bahamas was amazing. I absolutely loved it.
So without him, great.
Without him, fantastic. Yeah.
What's your least favorite destination?
Least favorite destination. You know what? There are many. I really don't like raves. I really don't like them. I don't like the vibe. I don't like the feeling of having to wait for 9 hours in a queue to get into some loud, grimy, dirty nightclub with a bunch of absolute weirdos. Damien loves it. My husband loves it, but for me, I don't like raves.
I've never been.
Don't go.
If they don't have if guitars are not involved, it's not really for me. What makes you laugh? Apart from me.
You know, apart from you, a really funny movie. I loved Bridesmaids. It's a really good movie. I like a little bit of slapstick comedy.
And what makes you cry?
Gosh, what makes me cry? A lot of things make me cry. I mean, I cry over good movies.
So I cry being made to watch Bridesmaids.
Really?
Yeah, not my bag.
Oh my God, it's so good. I watched it the other day. What makes me cry though? I think stress makes me cry. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah.
And being in the dark.
And being in the dark. Yeah.
What's the last gift you gave somebody?
Which one?
The last gift you gave
The last
somebody.
gift I gave someone. I gave you a bottle of wine.
You did?
I did.
Was it for me or Ellie?
It's for both of you guys.
Okay. It's the three of us.
Yeah,
We open it.
Right
We
after
open
this,
it.
we're gonna-
Yeah, 100%.
we're gonna drink it.
What was the last photo you took?
The last photo I took was with my husband yesterday because he doesn't take pictures with me quite often.
He's
So
a
we
fool.
We did a little selfie in the car.
What was the last book you read?
Ooh, the last book I read was, oh my gosh, that's a hard one. I don't read a lot of, I study psychology, so I think the last book I read was a book about psychology.
You did just pick one up, the 100-Year-Old Cat.
I did
book.
just pick up that cat,
Yeah,
yes. I didn't read it though, but I'm gonna read it.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee, a lot of it.
Urban or rural?
Ooh, I would say rural.
Kiss or Bon Jovi?
I would say Kiss because I met Gene Simmons and he was so lovely to me. He was, I met him on my birthday, on my Sweet 16 at the Hyatt in Cologne, and he sang me happy birthday in German because he thought German was my first language, which was very lovely. So, Gene Simmons, 100%.
What were you doing to be in the presence of rock godness?
Kiss. So I was introduced to, I had a tour manager at the time called Ozzy Hoppe, and Ozzy put me in touch with Doc McGee, who I met in the Park Hyatt.
He was a legend.
He was an absolute legend, and I actually have to give him a lot of credit for how far we went, because he definitely opened a lot of doors for us. And Doc was lovely enough to introduce us to Kiss, who were doing a show that evening in the O2 Arena in Cologne, and we spent the rest of the night with the band, and that was very fun.
But he's truly a legend, that dude.
He's incredible,
yeah.
So he told us so many stories about Motley Crue and Black Sabbath and Sharon Osbourne. A lot of
There's
very
a book.
interesting stories.
He's got 10 books.
Oh, really?
No, I mean.
Well, you should do.
Yeah,
You should
exactly.
do, for sure.
Cats or dogs?
It's funny you should say that. So if you would have asked me that 5 years ago, I would have definitely said dogs. But now that I have two of the cutest cats, I love them so much. They're like the cutest little things ever. They're so cuddly and adorable. I love them.
LA or New York?
That's a good question. I didn't really have a good time in LA. I think LA is the kind of place where it can either give you the best or it can kind of swallow you up. And I felt very trapped in LA. I spent 4 years there, and I didn't like the vibe there. I think the people are, I don't want to generalize, but I think a lot of the people are so hungry for fame and for just anything that they can get. And I think there's that, you can just feel that vibe with everyone you meet as well. But on the other side, you get to meet the most amazing, talented people. I've been fortunate enough to meet Ludacris. I've met Cher. I've met Barbra Streisand. I've met countless amazing superstars and have definitely been influenced by them. So I would have to say LA. I didn't have a good experience in New York. New York is not my vibe at all. New York is too tough for me. The people are too tough. The weather's too tough. Like the whole thing is just, the vibes.
Yeah, LA is definitely easier.
LA's easier, yeah.
For sure. Ever been on a blind date?
I've almost been on a blind date. So my sister Queenie is married to Elijah from Deadsy, and I was going to go on a date with Brian Warner. This was back in the day when I was about 19, and I said no.
Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson.
Wow.
I said no, and I don't regret saying
No,
no,
I think
because
you
I
did.
think
Yeah.
I think that would have been a
Wise
I don't think he'd
decision.
like me. I think I'm too I'm not his type. I think he likes a more Dita Von Teese, and I don't think either of us would get anything out of that. So.
Is it too late? Ah, yeah, you're married. Yeah.
I know, I'm married now.
Any regrets? And I didn't mean the word marriage in this question to come straight after it. That was just the bad timing.
Oh God. Any regrets? I would say no, because you learn from the mistakes that you make. So had I not made those mistakes, I wouldn't have learned from them. And if everything was just smooth sailing, there's not much learning. You really learn from the bad stuff that happens. So no regrets.
Cool. And this is a fun, uplifting one. What's the closest you've come to death?
Oh my gosh. The close, I was 13 years old, and again, in my rebellious phase, I was picked up by a guy who was much older than me, and he basically texted me or called me and said, do you want to get away? And I said, sure. So I put on my sluttiest 13-year-old outfit and was picked up by him in the car, and this was in Germany. We drove for 20 minutes, and of course he was speeding and trying to show me how cool he was, and we had the most terrible car accident. It was really, really bad. He had to be cut out of the car. I broke several ribs, and that wasn't a very great experience. I learned my lesson though. I feel like that was karma telling me, like,
hope
girl,
so. Yeah.
Girl, no.
That's nuts.
So yeah, and ever since then, I don't like speed. I don't like heights. I don't like that. I'm quite just still. Yeah, so that was a traumatic experience.
To say the least.
Yeah.
If you had a boat, what would it be called?
You know what's so funny? I was on holiday 3 weeks ago, and Damien and I were in Sardinia, and I saw this really funny boat, huge yacht, and on the back it said, "Thank you, Daddy." So
wow.
I think I'd like to have a name like that. Thank you, Daddy.
And finally, your message, words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
Parting shot.
God. Words of wisdom. I think be the best version of yourself, and whatever that is to you, whatever that means to you, be your true, authentic self as close as you can, and don't listen to anybody else. You do you, and of course be a good person, but I think being authentically you is the most important thing in the world.
100%. Rubes, awesome.
This was so fun.
You're a star. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Let's have a wine.
Yes, let's do it.
Yay! Done.
Great.
Yay!